And so another way to say is the more uncertain your future and the longer your future is, the more important it is for you to own Bitcoin and not own the security version of it. If you were sitting in Lebanon or you were in the middle of Africa and, my checklist would be, well, do you trust the bank? No. Do you trust the government? No. Do you trust the currency? No. Do you think you might need to change countries or cross the border with all your money? Yes. In that case, it's a no-brainer. You should have the Bitcoin in self-custody, or you should have it in a custodian that you trust outside of that country. But, at the point where you're like 85 years old and you're not leaving your living room, for the rest of your life, at that point, then probably you take a different view because you're different. And companies, like my company, MicroStrategy, we hold Bitcoin because we want to be able to move the Bitcoin between any custodian in the world or take self-custody. And when you do that as a commodity, there's no taxable event. So you're keeping optionality. If I needed to put it in London or I needed to move it between 100 different custodians, or if I wanted to take self-custody, I can do that without a taxable event. I wouldn't hold the security, because right now securities law in the US and the treatment of Bitcoin ETFs is you would have to sell the ETF, take a taxable capital gain, and then move the cash and then repurchase somewhere else. And that's a inefficiency of the current market structure. It might be cured if we get to in-kind create and redemption of Bitcoin ETFs, but right now it's an inefficiency. So I think if you think you need to move the asset around, you're advantaged and you have better property rights holding the commodity, the pure property, rather than holding the security.
If you're not selling it and you're just transferring it, that's not, and you have it in custody. I always said, people would always say to me, my counter argument to people on Bitcoin in general was, I use it as a utility. For example, I do big giveaways on my social media. I have 7 million social media followers. One of the things I did at one stage, the early stage, like Mr. Beast, I did these big giveaways, and I would get people in India. I would get people in Pakistan win. And to wire somebody $300 in Pakistan is effectively impossible, even if you pull it off and your bank doesn't freeze it as fraud